Are you moving to a new country? Then I'm sure you must be having this question, how do I find an accommodation? Well, hi guys, I'm Faria, your international friend living in the UK. I plan to document all my experiences and share it on this channel for you guys to benefit from it. While I was a student in the UK, I stayed in a private student accommodation. Well, let's first understand what are the types of accommodations available for you. There are three options. One is the on-campus student accommodation, two, the private student accommodation, and three, the private residencies. On-campus student accommodations, usually the rent is on the higher side while compared to the other two options, and that's exactly why I did not pick that. I stayed in a private student accommodation and it was amazing. It had everything that a student would need. And the rent was literally half of what I would have paid if I stayed in the on-campus student accommodation. Well, again, now what all is covered when you pay the rent when you stay in a private student accommodation? The rent covers the water, electricity, gas, heating, Wi-Fi, everything, right? So everything is inclusive in the rent. So you need not worry about anything extra that you'd have to pay at the end of the month or the start of the month. And that's the biggest plus point that I would say you should consider while choosing an accommodation while moving to the UK as a student. Because when you're a student, you've got n number of things already running in your life. You are adjusting to the new environment, the weather, the culture, the assignments, the classes, going to the university, again, adjusting to the new education system and whatnot. You're also doing your grocery run, you're doing your cooking, cleaning. Oh my goodness. There's so many things that you're still learning and you're still addressing. So at the end of the day, if you want to come and rest in a place, you would want to call it a home. This place will have to be a place where you can completely rest, have complete peace of mind, and would not want to worry about anything extra. You just pay your rent at the start of the month or in installments, and then boom, you're just done. Everything is sorted. That's exactly what you would want as a student, right? So that is exactly why I would always prefer a private student accommodation or a student accommodation for that reason. Let's say if you're okay to pay that rent, you can also opt for the on-campus student accommodation. But I would say any student accommodation would be a good one to pick while you are a student than a private residence. Now, what happens in a private residency is here it's not uh, restricted to only students. This apartment or this house can be shared by many people. Like they can be professionals staying, they can be, people who are working remotely, they can be students. It's a mix of everyone. People coming from different backgrounds professionally, right? But when you stay in a student accommodation, it has, I mean, you get all the students in the accommodation. I mean, you get to connect with all the other students. Everyone staying there is a student. And that in itself is a big thing because now you also get to connect with them, grow your network, and when you have others who are in the same boat, sailing in the same boat, things are much easier to deal with, right? So that's exactly why a student accommodation would be a good thing for you to pick while you are a student. Now, I will make a complete video of what exactly is a private residency and why I do not suggest staying in a private residency while being a student in the next video. For this video, let's stick to understand the ins and outs of a private student accommodation because that's exactly where I stayed, right? Now that with that being said, let's understand what are the types of rooms you get. So again, there are three types of rooms. You have shared rooms, you have private rooms, and then you have en suites. Shared room, of course, you share it with maybe one or two people. Private rooms are those which are like you have a room to yourself, but then you'll be sharing the washroom with other flatmates. And ensuite is one where you have a private washroom as well, meaning like you'll have the washroom inside the bedroom, inside your own bedroom. So you won't be sharing the washroom with others. But yes, at any given point, you are going to share the kitchen and the common area with your other flatmates, unless it's not a studio apartment. Now, what is a studio apartment? A studio apartment is one which has all the things in it. Like you have the washroom, you have the bedroom, you have the kitchen in one space, right? So this is exactly a studio apartment. So you're not sharing anything with anyone. So it's a complete space for yourself. But I don't know if studio apartments will be a good option for you, because you're already staying alone in a new country. So if you are an introvert, or even if you're an extrovert, you will have to make an effort to go out of your room to connect with people, meet people. But let's say if you're staying in a shared flat, you know, you will definitely meet people while you go in the kitchen, you cook something, you start connecting with your flatmates. And so here you're not making any extra effort to go meet people, go see people. So that is a big thing. It does matter. It makes a huge difference. Especially if you are an introvert, please do not consider staying in a studio apartment. Please do not, because introverts, it's going to take double the effort to go out, step out, and meet people. So do not do that. That's my personal suggestion to you guys. Okay. So that's about the rooms. Now talking about the contract. So while you sign a contract with any accommodation, make sure you read every single line of it. Understand what's written in the contract. Understand what you're about to sign. If you have any doubts at any given point in the contract, please do not shy away from asking questions to your management. Whoever is responsible, give them a call, write an email, do whatever, but then ask questions, make sure you understand everything, and then you sign the contract. Also, reading a contract will give you a complete idea of what exactly your tenancy demands, what are your responsibilities towards the property, etc., etc. Correct? And this also has the rent of how much is your complete rent. Is it in installments, or you pay upfront once, or however it is, right? So you'll get a complete understanding of what your complete tenancy looks like. Now, there's another term which is called the guarantor. Okay. So, most of the accommodations might ask you to have a guarantor, and this person usually has to be in the UK. Usually, there are accommodations which also allow guarantors outside the UK, but if this person has to be in the UK, right, then this person will also be signing a certain contract that will be sent by the management. Now, what does a guarantor does? You can Google up about this, or again, please ask your management about why do they need a guarantor, right? What will be the responsibilities of the guarantor if in case you have one, correct? Of all the reasons I know, the one good reason can be this, that let's say if you're paying rent in installments, let's say 4 installments, right? So at any given point, if you're not able to pay the rent, then the management tries to contact you twice or thrice, and then they send an email or give a call to your guarantor to tell them about this. And if the worst happens, like let's say you just run away or something happens, I mean, people do that as well. So then your guarantor is going to be responsible to take care of the rest of the rent or whatever. I mean, it's a legal thing. I'm not going to get into that, but you get an idea, right? So that is what a guarantor is required for. Again, just Google this up or have a word with your management, and they'll be able to explain you in the best way possible why do you need a guarantor for your tenancy. So that's about the contract and the guarantor. Now, the most important question, how and where do I find the accommodations? Well, there are third-party websites and there are websites of the accommodation itself. You can search for the accommodation on either of these. There are many third-party websites for your, there are many third-party websites that you can use where you just have to go and see whatever interests you and then book with them, book a room with them. That's it, as simple as that. And I think they take care of everything. I haven't personally done that, so I'm not in a position to share my experience about that. But I'll tell you what I did. So I started connecting with people on LinkedIn. That's where I start before moving to the UK itself. And I started asking people questions and asked to share their experience of how it was in living in their particular accommodation. And that's how I got to know about few accommodations. I went to the particular website of that accommodation, got the details like the phone number, the email, and everything. I dropped an email to the manager of the accommodation. I asked him if there's a room available and these are my requirements. And then he reverted back. And then things went forward. And then uh, I asked him if we can do a video viewing. I actually loved the room. And then that's how I finalized the room and I booked the room. And this was like when I was in direct contact with the manager. There was no third party involved in this. Now, I'll tell you why this is the best way to book an accommodation, because what happened is with me, uh, the day I reached the UK, the day I reached, I was about to check in. When I went to this place, I realized that this place is actually too far away from the university. I mean, the walking distance. Okay. So I wanted my accommodation to be in walking distance from my university because for various reasons. All right. Like I wanted to go to the library more often, I wanted to walk to the classes. So that was my whole aim. And when I went there, I saw that, okay, the accommodation is pretty far away from the university. I wouldn't be able to walk to the university every day. And that's why I thought I'll have a word with the manager and I'll tell him the genuine reason why I would not like to go ahead and if there's a possibility that we can cancel this tenancy. So I did that. And to my surprise, he agreed. And he also agreed to return the complete deposit that I've already paid in advance. And that was the best part. He refunded the complete amount. So this is the benefit of being in touch with the management and booking the accommodation directly. That's my personal opinion, my personal suggestion that would be the most best option you guys can opt for. But again, I'm sure there's no harm booking an accommodation using the third party website. So yeah, that also shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, that was my experience of staying in a student accommodation. If you guys have got any questions, please drop them in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And with that, we are closing this video and I'll see you around in the next one. Bye. Take care.